Welcome back to the deep dive. We're the place that takes, well, a mountain of source material and turns it into something clear, insightful, and honestly pretty essential for you to know.
Absolutely. And today, we're tackling maybe the biggest shift in AI since, I don't know, large language models first appeared.
Yeah, it feels that significant. For the last few years, AI has basically been your assistant, right? Your super fast researcher, your summarizer. Maybe it drafts some content for you.
It answers your questions. It gives you
Yeah.
advice, good advice, often.
Exactly. But that's the thing, it waited for the question. Now the whole dynamic is shifting. We're diving deep into AI agents.
Agents, that's the key term.
And the big idea, the hook for today, is this. AI isn't just going to assist anymore, it's going to act. It's moving from being a suggestion box to being an execution engine.
And that move from just assisting to genuine autonomy, that's really the heart of it. It defines what's coming next for, well, pretty much everyone in the professional world.
So we're moving past just typing into a chat window.
Way past that. The chat interface, where the AI just sits there waiting for you,
Yeah.
that's changing. We're heading into actual operational work, where the AI is proactively taking on workflows, managing objectives.
Okay, let's make that concrete for you listening. Our sources talk about this project manager, Ahmed. Picture this. Ahmed gives his new AI agent a pretty high-level goal before he logs off. Something like, get the Q3 market readiness strategy sorted.
Right, a big chunky goal.
Now, the old way, maybe Ahmed gets back a really detailed email with bullet points, like here's what you should do.
A plan, basically.
Yeah.
Advice.
Yeah. But with the AI agent, the system just starts working
Yeah.
autonomously. While Ahmed's asleep, this agent is actually gathering competitive intelligence reports. It's analyzing what rivals are doing.
It's pulling that data, comparing it maybe with internal sales figures.
And then it acts on that analysis.
Yeah, it doesn't just present the findings, it goes further. The sources say it actually drafted a whole email campaign, segmented even, targeting specific customers based on what it found out about the competition.
And scheduled meetings.
Yep, scheduled the necessary team follow-ups.
Yeah.
Marketing lead, dev lead, sales VP, pulled in the right people based on its analysis, even sorted out calendar conflicts automatically.
So Ahmed walks in, grabs his morning tea.
And a huge chunk of his strategic and operational work for the day, it's already done.
That's the leap, isn't it? It's not just slightly faster work. It's this massive jump in productivity because the doing part got delegated.
Precisely. It's about autonomous, multi-step task completion, delegating whole measurable goals, not just asking for bits of text.
Okay. So that really sets the stage. It's moving from, like you said, cognitive assistance helping you think to
Cognitive delegation, letting the AI handle entire workflows end to end. And our goal today is really to unpack how that works, what makes it possible, and what it means for how we'll all work in the future.
right. Let's get into the definitions then. Section 1. What is an AI agent, really? How is it different from a really smart chatbot, according to the source material?
Okay, fundamentally, the sources define them as autonomous systems. And they do three key things, all integrated. They plan, they reason, and critically, they act.
Plan, reason, act. Okay.
And they're not just stuck with their training data or what's in the current chat. They're built to use external stuff tools, the live internet, company workflows, to actually get that goal accomplished.
So that's the core difference. A chatbot reacts to your prompt right now. An agent is proactive.
Exactly. Proactive and intensely goal-oriented. You give it that big, maybe slightly fuzzy goal like Ahmed's, and it internally figures out a precise plan. It thinks through the problems, the steps.
The reasoning part.
Right, and then this is key. It steps outside its language model brain to execute that plan using those tools in the real digital world.
So if I ask a normal chatbot, how do I spend my ad budget better?
It gives you a great strategy document, maybe some brilliant ideas.
But if I tell an agent, optimize the Q3 ad spend, aim for a 10% improvement.
It logs into Google Ads or whatever platform, analyzes the data, tweaks the bids, maybe even updates the ad creative based on what's working, and then sends you a report saying, done, here are the results.
Wow. Okay. That's the difference between getting the blueprint and finding the house already built.
Pretty much, it's the execution.
So thinking about productivity, you mentioned multiplying it. How does this delegation actually speed things up so dramatically?
Well, think about where humans slow things down in complex workflows. We're great at the big picture, strategy, creativity, relationships.
Yeah, the uniquely human stuff.
But we're not always great at the relentless, step-by-step execution. especially if it means juggling 5 different software tools, copying data, checking boxes, that operational grind.
Yeah, the context switching kills you.
Exactly. The agent takes on that detailed planning, the step-by-step doing, the checking. It frees up the human to focus on refining the strategy, solving unexpected problems, doing the things agents can't do.
Like with Ahmed's market analysis example. A human analyst might spend days just gathering and organizing data.
Right. Collecting reports, structuring spreadsheets, finding relevant news, days of work. An agent might do the core data gathering and structuring in, say, half an hour.
Leaving the human analyst the rest of that time to actually think about what the data means.
Exactly. To interpret, strategize, figure out the counter moves, that's where the exponential efficiency comes from. You're removing the execution bottleneck.
Okay, that makes perfect sense. So let's get into the nuts and bolts. Section 2, the anatomy of autonomy. What absolutely has to be there, technically, for something to be a true AI agent? What are the core features?
Yeah, let's break it down. The sources point to 3 things that are absolutely non-negotiable. They have to work together. Miss one, and you've just got a fancy assistant, not an autonomous agent.
Okay, feature number 1.
It's the brain, essentially. Task planning, or maybe better put, multi-step reasoning. This is where the intelligence really sits. How does it take a big goal like, I don't know, launch product X and figure out what to do?
It can't just guess, right?
No, it uses specific techniques. We're talking things like the React framework that's reasoning and acting, or maybe sophisticated chain and thought processes. These help it break down that big, vague goal.
Break it down how? Just into a list.
Not just a linear list. That's the crucial part. It generates an internal thought process that maps out smaller steps, yes, but also considers the sequence, the dependencies, and crucially, conditions.
Conditions, like if-then statements.
Exactly. So the plan isn't just do A, then B, then C. It's more like, okay, step 1, check inventory. If inventory is low, trigger step 1A. Ping the supply chain system. If inventory is fine, then proceed to step 2, draft the marketing copy. It builds a dynamic plan.
So it's building a kind of decision tree on the fly based on the goal and the real-time situation. That sounds complex.
It is complex, and the real challenge, which the sources definitely highlight, is making it robust. And what happens when something goes wrong? A real-world workflow is messy.
Right. An API fails, a website is down.
Exactly. A good agent doesn't just stop. Its reasoning includes error handling. It thinks, okay, step 2 failed, the API timed out. Option A, retry in 5 minutes. Option B, is there another tool, maybe API Y, that can get me the same result? Let's try that before moving to step 3.
So it has this kind of built-in persistence. It tries to find ways around roadblocks.
That's the goal, this iterative conditional path correction. That's what gives it resilience for long, complex tasks without needing a human to constantly nudge it.
Okay, impressive. So that's planning and reasoning. What's feature 2? You mentioned acting.
Right, you need the hands and feet. Tool usage. The agent needs to interact with the world outside its language model.
And by tools, we mean?
The sources are specific here. APIs are huge, application programming interfaces, also interacting directly with applications, think software like Salesforce or JIRA, and querying external databases, basically anything that lets it connect to the actual operational systems of a business.
So how does it know which tool to use and when?
It uses what are called tool calling frameworks. When the agent builds that internal plan we just talked about, using React or whatever, it identifies points where it needs external interaction. Okay, step 3 needs customer data. It then selects the right tool, say, the Salesforce API, and generates the correct code, often in a standard format like JSON, to actually make that API call.
Wait, so the agent has to be a bit of a programmer, too. It needs to know how to format a request for the GitHub API versus the Google Ads API.
In a sense, yes. Or at least it needs to correctly use the predefined tools it's been given access to, formatting the request properly. And this brings up a huge point from the sources. Security.
Ah, right. If it's updating databases or sending emails.
Exactly. It needs the right permissions, the right security tokens.
Yeah.
Designing this is tricky. You need to give the agent enough power to actually do its job, but without giving it the keys to the kingdom where it could cause chaos if it makes a mistake.
So if the plan says send the final contract, the agent needs clearance for the mail server API, maybe another API, to pull the correct version of the contract from a secure storage, and then maybe a third API to log that the contract was sent in the CRM.
Yes. All triggered automatically based on its plan, without manual intervention for each step. Tool usage is that bridge. It turns the LLM from a text machine into an operational worker bee.
Okay. Planning tools. What's the third non-negotiable feature?
Memory. We touched on this, but it's crucial. Agents need context. They need to remember what happened before, across different tasks over time.
To avoid repeating itself or asking the same questions.
That, but also to maintain consistency on long projects. Think back to Ahmed's Q3 strategy. That's not a one-shot task.
Yeah.
The agent needs to remember decisions made last week, data it gathered yesterday, feedback it received.
Okay, but for our listeners who know a bit about LLMs, we need to be specific. Are we just talking about the context window of the prompt?
Good question. No. That's short-term memory, and it's important for the immediate back and forth. But it's volatile, limited. The real game changer is long-term memory.
And how do agents achieve that?
Primarily through techniques like retrieval augmented generation, or RAG. And this usually involves vector databases.
Okay, let's unpack RG and vector databases. Why are they so critical for agents doing real work?
Because an agent working inside a company needs access to the company's history and knowledge, institutional memory. If Ahmed asks about the launch strategy now, and then asks a follow-up 3 weeks later, the agent needs to recall the previous discussions, the related documents, maybe even past successes or failures on similar projects. The short-term context window can't hold all that.
So RG helps it remember more.
Right. ARGA works by taking the company's knowledge base, reports, documents, meeting notes, whatever, and turning it into numerical representations, vectors. These vectors are stored in a special database, a vector database. Then, when Ahmed asks a new question, the agent doesn't just rely on its general training. It first searches that vector database for information that's semantically relevant to the question. It retrieves the most relevant chunks of knowledge.
Ah, the retrieval part of RLA.
Exactly. And then it feeds that retrieved information into its short-term memory, along with the original question, to generate a much more informed and context-aware answer or plan. It effectively gives the agent access to a vast, persistent, searchable library of the company's own knowledge.
Got it. So planning is the roadmap. Tool usage is the interaction with the world. And long-term memory via RA provides the historical context and institutional knowledge. Put them together.
And you have the core of a truly autonomous agent.
Fantastic. Now we know how they work. Let's see them in action. Section 3 looks at specific examples from different professional areas. This really shows the specialization happening. First up, research agents.
Yeah, these are really interesting. Their job is basically to tackle information overload, especially in fields swimming in data science, law, finance.
So they read lots of documents.
They analyze vast amounts of unstructured stuff, studies, legal text, internal reports. But it's more than just summarizing. Think about a complex task for one of these. Generate a hypothesis about competitor X's next move based on their last 5 patent filings. Cross-reference that with recent material science papers. Then, check if it's technically feasible given our own internal engineering docs.
Wow, okay. That's synthesizing across totally different types of information.
Right. It involves filtering potentially thousands of sources, pulling out nuanced data points, and maybe even highlighting contradictions between sources, and critically verifying facts.
So the output isn't just a summary, it's more like a verified intelligence briefing.
That's the idea. It structures the information so a human expert can jump straight to interpretation instead of spending weeks just reading and cross-referencing everything themselves.
Makes sense. Okay, next category. Business agents. These sound like they could have a huge impact on management.
Oh, absolutely. These are aimed squarely at the kind of strategic and administrative tasks that eat up so much management time. Think about generating detailed quarterly business reports, QBRs.
Which usually takes ages, pulling data from everywhere.
Right. A business agent could be set up to automatically connect to the ERP for financials, the CRM like Salesforce for sales pipeline data, the marketing platform for campaign results, maybe competitor tracking feeds. Pull all that data together.
And not just paste it, but structure the report, maybe add summaries based on goals the manager set.
Exactly. Or take market analysis. You could task an agent to continuously monitor, say, 20 key competitors, track their website updates, scan their earnings call transcripts, watch social media sentiment, flag any significant pricing changes instantly.
That kind of 247 vigilance is basically impossible for a human team.
But it's straightforward for a dedicated agent. It frees up the human strategist to think about the implications of that data rather than just collecting it.
Okay, and the third type mentioned, developer agents, automating software development itself.
Yeah, and this is way beyond just auto-completing code snippets. These agents are getting integrated into the whole DevOps pipeline.
So what can they actually do?
Tasks like generating functional code based on a user story written in plain English in a system like JRA, but also Managing quality control.
How so?
An agent could write the code, then automatically write and run unit tests against the requirements. If tests fail or bugs are found later, it could analyze error logs to find the cause, propose a fix, implement it, run regression tests to make sure it didn't break anything else.
And then manage the whole pull request process on GitHub, potentially.
Exactly. Imagine a critical bug hits production. The agent gets alerted, analyzes logs, identifies the faulty code, writes a patch, tests it, and submits it for human review with all the relevant context attached. That's end-to-end automation in a very technical field.
It's fascinating how specialized these are. You've got research digging up facts, business setting strategy, developers building the tools.
And you've hit on the next big thing there. Right now we're talking about individual specialists, but the future everyone's working towards is multi-agent systems.
A team of agents.
Sort of. An orchestrated digital team. Imagine the research agent finds a market opportunity and automatically passes its findings to the business agent. The business agent validates the strategy and then tasks a team of developer agents to build the required features. The operational work gets delegated to this coordinated synthetic team.
That's a big leap, but let's bring it back to today. That idea of delegation really comes through in the case study in Section 4. This is real-world proof.
Right, this Pakistani e-commerce startup. It's a powerful example because it connects agent deployment directly to the bottom line revenue.
What did they actually do? How did they use agents?
They were smart about it. They
Wow.
targeted high-volume, repetitive tasks that were bogging down their human staff. Not replacing strategists, but offloading the grind.
Okay, like what specifically?
3 main areas. First, customer service. They set up agents to handle the bulk of common queries, where's my order? Basic return requests, FAQs. The agent could check inventory, track shipments by talking to the logistics APIs, all without a human needing to step in for most cases.
Okay, freeing up human support for complex issues. What else?
Second, that's strategic monitoring we talked about. They had agents doing daily, relentless tracking of competitor prices and stock levels online. This let them adjust their own pricing dynamically to stay competitive in real time.
A huge advantage in e-commerce.
Massive. And third, they used agents for optimizing their online advertising, continuously tweaking bids, audiences, creatives based on live performance data. Again, removing the human lag between seeing the data and acting on it.
So automating customer service basics, competitor tracking, and ad optimization. What was the result?
The sources state a 50% increase in revenue.
50%. That's huge. Was it just the optimizations or something else?
It seems like a big part of it was freeing up their people. The human staff, who were previously bogged down checking competitor prices or answering "where's my stuff" emails, could suddenly focus entirely on higher-level strategy.
Like what?
The sources say they started focusing on things like exploring new international markets, negotiating complex deals with suppliers, R&D for new product lines, the stuff that requires real human insight, negotiation, creativity.
So the agents handled the keeping the lights on efficiently, while the humans focused on growth and innovation.
That's exactly the picture painted. It reinforces that idea. Agents multiply productivity, not necessarily by replacing humans, but by freeing them from the operational quicksand to do unique high-value work.
Okay, but I need to jump in with something the sources also mentioned, a crucial counterpoint. That 50% gain sounds amazing, but setting this up, integrating agents with your core systems, your ERP, CRM, ad platforms, that requires a pretty modern API-friendly IT setup, doesn't it?
Absolutely. That's the elephant in the room, often.
For a smaller company or one with older legacy systems, the cost and effort of building that connective infrastructure before you even deploy the agent, could that wipe out the potential gains, at least initially?
That is the essential practical hurdle. You're spot on. The barrier to entry can be high. Agents need clean, secure, well-documented APIs to talk to. You can't easily layer this onto ancient software that wasn't built for it.
So there's a big upfront investment in modernization sometimes.
Often, yes. Migration costs, security protocols, just getting the systems ready for tool calling, it's significant.
Yeah.
So while the long-term ROI seems clear from examples like this, there's definitely a capital investment and infrastructure maturity question that companies, especially smaller ones, have to wrestle with first. It's a real cost-benefit calculation.
Right. The potential is huge, but the path there might require serious groundwork, which leads us perfectly into Section 5, the need for caution. If these agents can drive 50% revenue growth, they could probably also cause significant problems if they mess up. Autonomy isn't risk-free.
No, definitely not. And this is maybe the most critical part for anyone thinking of implementing these. Autonomy without strong governance, isn't just innovation, it's potentially dangerous.
Why? What are the specific risks?
When you think about what they're doing, controlling ad spend, changing prices on thousands of items, maybe even writing and deploying code, the potential impact of an error is massive, existential for some businesses.
So the main risk is the agent just doing the wrong thing, taking an incorrect action.
Exactly. Incorrect, unintended, maybe even harmful actions if they aren't properly supervised or if their goals aren't constrained correctly.
Can you give a concrete example? What does an incorrect action look like that the sources warn about?
A classic one is the unintended feedback loop. Imagine that business agent optimizing prices. Maybe there's a slight flaw in its reasoning, its planning logic. It gets stuck in a loop thinking, the goal is profit, therefore I must always undercut the lowest competitor by 1 cent. Now, what if the competitor also has an automated pricing agent? You trigger a race to the bottom. Prices plummet towards zero in minutes. Margins destroyed. Maybe you sell out of inventory unexpectedly because the price is suddenly ridiculously low.
And if no human is watching?
That mistake escalates from a logical flaw to a financial disaster very, very quickly. Or think about the developer agent. If it incorrectly decides the quickest way to fix a slowdown is to disable a security check, and it pushes that change live.
Oof, big problems.
Immediate and severe problems. That's why the source material is so insistent. Governance and human review are non-negotiable, mandatory safeguards.
It's not about stopping the agent, but controlling the potential blast radius of its actions.
Precisely. You need guardrails.
Hmm.
So what kind of mechanisms are essential?
Yeah, what does good governance look like here?
Well, first and foremost, especially for high-stakes actions, you need human-in-the-loop systems, often called HILT.
Human in the loop, meaning?
Meaning the agent does the work, figures out the plan, maybe even drafts the command. But for certain critical actions like launching a major ad campaign, changing core pricing rules, deploying code to production, the final go button needs to be pressed by a human. The agent proposes. The human approves.
Okay, so a sanity check before the big red button gets pushed. What else?
Second, and this is really important technically, robust audit logging and traceability. When an agent does make a mistake, even a small one, you absolutely must be able to see how it arrived at that faulty decision.
You need to replay its thinking.
Exactly. The system needs to log not just action X was taken, but the internal reasoning, the chain of thought, the conditional steps that led to action X. This transparency is crucial for debugging the agent's logic and preventing repeats.
So the human's job changes dramatically. You're not doing the task anymore. You're defining the rules, setting the boundaries, approving the big moves, and acting like an auditor, using those logs to understand why the agent did what it did.
You've nailed it. You become the manager, the strategist, the quality control, the auditor for this incredibly powerful but potentially fallible digital workforce.
Right.
You said the safety limits, never drop margins below X, don't touch the HR database.
Right. Governance is what lets you harness that 50% revenue boost safely. Controlled autonomy.
Controlled autonomy and transparency. That's the key.
Okay, fantastic. That really brings us nicely to the end of this deep dive on AI agents. Let's just quickly recap the 3 absolute core takeaways for everyone listening.
So that's good.
Okay, takeaway number 1. AI agents are the next big step. It's a shift from AI just giving you assistance to AI having operational autonomy. They're built to do things, not just talk about them.
Yep. Goal-oriented execution engines.
Number 2, they drive potentially massive productivity gains, like we saw with that e-commerce example. They do this by combining sophisticated planning, that crucial long-term memory using Aura, and the ability to use tools like APIs to actually execute complex multi-step workflows.
Taking over the tasks that slow human down.
And number 3, and this is crucial, governance is mandatory. Human-in-the-loop checks, clear audit trails. These aren't optional extras. They're essential for using this powerful autonomy safely and effectively.
Couldn't agree more. Supervision is key.
So the era of the individual agent is clearly starting. It's already changing how work gets done.
It really is.
Yeah.
But here's the final thought, the thing for you listening to really chew on as you think about applying this.
Okay.
We've spent this whole time talking about what one specialized agent can do, how it can transform Ahmed's morning or boost a company's revenue. But if a single agent is this powerful, how are you going to design, manage, and orchestrate an entire team of these specialists working together?
Ah, like that multi-agent system you hinted at earlier.
Exactly. We've just scratched the surface with the power as one. The real complexity, the next frontier that everyone's tackling now, is figuring out how to build and manage systems where research agents, business agents, developer agents all collaborate automatically, like a synthetic department within the company.
Managing that digital team, that sounds like a whole different challenge.
It is. And that's where the next level of design and governance comes in. How do you make sure they work together effectively and safely?
A digital workforce, coordinated and audited by humans. Wow. Well, thank you for joining us on this deep dive into autonomy beyond assistance. It sounds like we'll definitely need to explore those multi-agent systems next time.